All right, guys, another week, and we got some more Dragon Ball Daima here. Um, so we've had two episodes. There's actually quite a bit to talk about. Does seem like Daima's kind of like picking up quite a bit, whereas the start of it very much resembled kind of like the beginning of Dragon Ball. I think we're starting to push into something that's going to end up being a little bit different. You know, it's everything is kind of like established in the show and stuff like that. So episode 10 starts out with Majin Ku fighting Tamagami number 1, and it's just kind of like Majin Ku is not like a competitive fighter. I mean, we'll see what's gonna happen. He's obviously just kind of like a joke character, basically. I mean, it's such a Dragon Ball thing, I guess, to kind of, well, I mean, I should say Toriyama thing. I don't even know if subvert expectations is really correct, but you know, it's kind of the same thing with like the androids show up, and it's like Android 19 and 20. You know, Android 19 literally looks like a clown, right? Like. Then, you know, Majin Buu, oh, the vicious Majin Buu, you know, he's Fat Buu is who shows up. And then eventually it leads to, like, more, you know, threatening villains. Obviously, we're going to have something like that happen here. We'll see what, like, the final villain and all the stuff is going to look like, right? So a lot of episode 10, I mean, there's not that much, like, I guess, like, real meat, right? Because it's like Majin Ku fighting Tamagami number 1, and Majin Ku is just not able to fight him, right? He's just weak. He's kind of like dancing around being goofy and stuff like that, and eventually he gives up, right? So like Majin Ku is not seemingly a fighter on the Tamagami's level. Now then we have, you know, Goku, Glorio, and them. You know, they're on the second demon world, and there's like these giant like kraken monsters in the water. And it's like eventually they're getting chased by Goma's guards and stuff like that, and the plane gets destroyed, and then the Kraken is kind of like it is a gigantic monster, like destroys their plane. Eventually they meet up with like Vegeta and the others, and I mean there's a line Goku says where like we can't beat the Kraken or whatever like that, like when they're children, and I don't know, it seems I don't know. Seems ridiculous. Like these little, like these monsters. Dude, the monsters are gonna. I'm sorry. Goku go Super Saiyan and he would decimate that Kraken. Like I refuse to believe it. I think Goku and Vegeta, they just go Super Saiyan and the Krakens are toast, man. I don't like that. Come on, please, dude. Now, kind of like the big thing that happens in episode 10 is they go to the original kind of like place where the Namekians are from. And Supreme Kai starts kind of like explaining a lot of lore. And it does directly connect to Super. Like they do show the Supreme Kai of the various universes. And I mean, I've seen a huge thing. People with Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball, dude, is filled with like mistakes and like retcons and just like Toriyama. I mean, when he gets that pen going, he is a master chef. But he just be kind of like wiping away details. He does not give a shit, right? It's like Patara retcon, all these types of things. Like he doesn't really care that much. So that's why like people are always going super crazy about canon. There's been arguments about like, oh yeah, Super is not canon to Daima and stuff like that. And it's always silly because even in episode, I think it was episode 1, right? They do mention they're in Universe 7. So it seems to me like eventually this is probably going to directly lead into Dragon Ball Super, and then that's when the manga's probably going to start back up. I mean, I guess I could say I hope so, because that would be continuing the series, stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. So Supreme Kai explains how, what is it? It's like a grand, Rymus is the name? Hold on. Yeah, Super Majin Rymus created the universe, right, is what it said. And they show Rymus, and Rymus does look pretty similar to Zeno. So I've seen people talking about how like Rymus and Zeno could kind of be like a yin and a yang. Like Rymus creates, and then maybe Zeno kind of like destroys. Like Zeno is like a god of destruction, and Rymus is like the top Supreme Kai or something like that. Like I don't know, it's possible. I mean, we'll see what's gonna happen. But it's kind of like in explaining the story where we get a look at, again, the various Supreme Kais, and, you know, it's kind of like explained like that. So, I mean, with that, I mean, they're directly showing us characters from Dragon Ball Super. So I think it probably is going to lead directly into it later on. But I mean, we'll see what's going to happen towards the end of the series, right? Now, that leads into episode 11. Like, that's kind of where episode 10 ends off. And then with episode 11, Neva, who is the Namekian who kind of helped Goma, make the wishes to the dragon in episode 1, right? Neva was able to kind of make it to where they're able to just use the Dragon Balls right away. Neva's the one that created the Tamagamis, all this type of stuff. Like we do get a little bit more lore about Neva, right? Piccolo says he's the legendary Namekian, too, which is, I guess, interesting. Now, there's one thing that really annoyed me here. I mean, again, this just goes into Dragon Ball and kind of it's just, retconning. Maybe Toriyama forgot, like, whatever it is we're going to say. But it kind of is established that in order to make a wish with the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, like, they're going to have to, make the wish in the Namekian language, just kind of like Porunga and Namek. And Goku asked Piccolo if he could speak Namekian, and Piccolo goes, well, no, I forgot how to do it. It's been so long. And I think that is the biggest bullshit in the world. Now, it's like, it's there, whatever. All this does is make Piccolo look like such a jackass, man. This is the same thing that happened in, what was it, episode 9? Where it's like Arinsu is just, Majin Vegeta blows himself up. Piccolo is there, he's right there. And he can't sense that Arinsu is there, like, scooping up parts of Majin Buu, right? It drove me nuts, because it just makes Piccolo look like a jackass, really. And it's like, now, here we go. Piccolo, a lot of people have forgotten this. People were like, oh, Piccolo probably just forgot how to speak Namekian, which is ridiculous, absurd, man. Because Demon King Piccolo, like, they were the original nameless Namekian or whatever. And then eventually, dude, I don't know. I think it's so crazy. Like, eventually split up into Kami and Demon King Piccolo. Remember, Demon King Piccolo is sealed away for, like, I don't know, hundreds of years or whatever the hell it is. However long Demon King Piccolo is sealed in the rice cooker. Comes out, the whole events of the Demon King Piccolo arc happen, all that stuff. And then, Demon King Piccolo dies to Kid Goku. Kind of like gets rebirth, his kind of like a reincarnation, whatever we want to call it, like into Piccolo Jr. And then Kami and Piccolo Jr. fight at the World Tournament, and they speak in Namekian. Piccolo knows a Namekian, man. And then it gets even worse because, oh, by the way, Piccolo did, like, assimilate with both Nail and Kami. They're there too. So that it's dumb. It's Piccolo can speak Namekian, damn it. It drives me crazy, but all it does is it makes Piccolo just look like a jackass, man. Stop the Piccolo slander. Enough is enough. This is why I'm so glad Orange Piccolo is a thing. The way modern Dragon Ball has done Piccolo, besides superhero, is a crime. Don't forget that in the anime, they just added in that Frieza kills Piccolo, by the way, which people forget. And then the way Piccolo is disrespected in the Tournament of Power, stupid-ass Grasshopper knocks him off, which is annoying. It's like, how about we just respect Piccolo a little bit, please? Can we do that? Is it so hard to respect Goku, please? Now, there are a lot of other little details that are kind of like talked about and explained, like Neva understanding certain parts of Goma's plan and kind of like helping, I don't know, like he kind of like seems to word it in such a way where if Goma would have tried to do anything a little bit darker or something like that, Neva would not have helped, but I mean, we'll see. There's a couple of shots of like Neva eyeing the Dragon Ball and stuff like that. That does make it seem like he's probably up to no good. I mean, we'll, find out a little bit later, I guess. We'll see what's going to happen. Neva ends up going with them, though, because, he sees the Dragon Ball and then lets them know that, he can kind of speak in Namekian and they'd be able to actually get the wish. We'll see what's going to happen there. At one point, when they're flying in the plane, Vegeta is the one that wants to fight Tamagami number 2, which they're, that's where they're going, to get the second Dragon Ball fight Tamagami 2. And Neva is surprised when Goku and Vegeta are very eager to fight Tamagami 2, and they kind of like are arguing over who's going to actually fight them. So I did think that was interesting. At the same time, Arinsu does create a second, I guess Majin, we could say. Majin Do is who they create, who's kind of, they use more essence of Fat Buu this time, Majin Buu. And Majin Do does resemble Fat Buu a little bit more. I mean, he's kind of, I don't know, I guess fat like that, like Fat Buu. And this episode, a lot happens because Majin Do actually does start fighting Tamagami number 1. And Majin Do is actually, he seems to be just a little bit stronger than Tamagami 1. And he's kind of like, I guess, getting the hang of things like that. Like, he tests out a ki blast and accidentally shoots himself in the head. And he's kind of like, Kid Buu did it at least once where he kind of like ducked his head into his body to avoid a ki blast. I think it was from Vegeta, or it might have been from Fat Buu. But like, Do kind of does a similar move that Kid Buu does at one point. And so Majin Do is battling Tamagami number 1 at the same time that Vegeta is battling Tamagami number 2. Vegeta gets like sauced up though, but it's just base Vegeta. I mean, remember Goku, for a lot of the fight against Tamagami number 3, Goku's in Super Saiyan, and then eventually he goes Super Saiyan 2 to finish off Tamagami number 3. So I do believe that Vegeta is going to win, right? But Tamagami number 2 kind of gets the edge up on Vegeta with a ki blast, and then Vegeta ends up kind of getting swallowed by one of the Krakens because they're fighting over kind of like the big ocean or body of water that they're fighting over. And Vegeta gets swallowed by the Kraken, and that's where the episode ends. I feel like it's pretty clear, though. At least I think that Vegeta is probably going to just win effortlessly against Tamagami number 2. One thing that modern Dragon Ball, whereas they disrespect the shit out of Piccolo, I feel like modern Dragon Ball respects the hell out of Vegeta. Like, Dragon Ball Super era, it feels like Dragon Ball is way more pushing like Vegeta and Goku to be like equals than like Dragon Ball Z ever did, right? Of course. They were not equals back in the day for, most of the time. But nowadays, like, they're not going to have Goku just, it's not GT where we're standing around watching for Goku to do shit. I'm certain that Vegeta is going to be able to, I don't know. The next episode preview just shows Vegeta kind of like knocked out with his eyes closed in base. Maybe Vegeta can even like go Super Saiyan 3 or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. But I do think Vegeta's probably going to sauce up Tamagami number 2 in the next episode. I think that does kind of cover most of the stuff. So, like, we did get some lore. I mean, Neva is now kind of involved. They're fighting against 2 of the Tamagamis right now, right? Like, Arinsu is trying to get the first Dragon Ball. And then, of course, Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo and them are trying to get the second Demon Realm Dragon Ball. So we'll see, are Majin Ku and Majin Do gonna, like, fuse into one Majin? Are Goku and Vegeta gonna use the little, like, fusion bug that they've got? There's kind of, like, a lot of, I think, interesting things. To me, it does feel like the series is picking up quite a bit. We kind of had, like, it was, like, very slow, very much taking its time. So we'll see how things are gonna get, kind of moving forward. So, let me know what you guys think, but, I mean, I definitely am liking Daima. I feel like I really feel like this. I think the reception to Daima would have been way better if they weren't turned into kids again. Just because it's something that already happened with GT. I feel like that, I mean, we'll see if there's, like, some, like, super big reason for them to have done that. But, like, I like, the series so far, nothing needed them to be kids besides just to give it OG Dragon Ball vibes, which I do think they were intentionally going for that. But my fear, it doesn't really bother me the most, but what does bother me is how many people are kind of like turned off because of that. I do know a lot of people, though, are waiting for the dub, which is valid. But I do think the fact that they're like kids again has also turned a lot of people off. But we'll see. Seems like Daima's going to start getting into some probably craziness here, and then, excitement will pick back up. I mean, even me, when Dragon Ball Super was originally airing, like, I was kind of like following it, I fell off, followed it, fell off, and then, like, once the Goku Black arc happened, and, like, Blue Kaioken Goku and stuff, like some of that stuff, like, really kind of was like, whoa, damn, okay, and, like, Rose happened, and it's like, whoa, this is now, like, butt in seat, gotta see this every week. So hopefully Daima is gonna come with the goods soon, so we'll see. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll see episode 12 next week.